Hi, my name is Vincent, and most of my friends and neighbors call me Vince. I grew up as an Army brat. I was born in Germany. I lived around the world, kindergarten in Okinawa, first grade in Arizona, and so forth. This is home. This is where we decided to finally rest in our retirement years, and the people here are phenomenal. It's a blessing to be able to say that I'm in Cabarrus County, to be able to say that I live in a place like Mount Pleasant, and that I can come to a place like the Sports Center in Concord, just down the road. That was part and parcel of writing the book. It started basically when my grandson came to our house, and he found a bayonet, and it had been in our family for generations. It was originally used in the Battle of Waterloo in Belgium, and which is where my mom is from. So I thought, okay, there's two elements to this story that are starting to take shape here. One is the bayonet that represents hate and war, and another is a gold ring that represents love and marriage and peace. And I said, maybe there's a way to construct the story around those two elements. And so that's when I started to write the book in earnest. It turns out that at the very end of the book, spoiler alert, the two artifacts, the ring and the blade, are reunited, and only one of them can prevail, love or hate, and it turns out to be love, because anything based in hate eventually just disappears, right? It goes away. Things that are formed in love last forever. So again, when people are reading this book, I'm hoping that they get beyond the historical fiction and the development of a storyline that tries to explain the cause and consequence of war, and look beyond the couple of centuries that are recorded in a family line through what I call translucent memoir, and look beyond that into a spiritual message, which is again the definition of love overcoming hate. So I'm proud of the book. I wrote it under a pseudonym, a name of Jackson Badgenoone. The Roman Empire still has a kind of a home in Europe, and that home is Belgium, which is where my mom came from. She was born and raised in Brussels. She lived through the tragedy of World War II and was impacted by the Nazi regime and all of that. On the cover of the book, there's a Belgian walking cane, and that cane followed me from Brussels back to the United States. I was an Army brat. I was born in Germany, raised all over the world in military bases, but that Belgian walking cane stayed with me through the years, and it's a reminder of my link across the Atlantic to that little country that sits at the heart of the current Roman Empire. Now it's positioned overlooking the Dutch Buffalo Creek, which is named after German settlers who came during the Revolutionary War and shortly thereafter, some of whom were Hessian soldiers. The entire book takes place in the year 2014. It starts out in that year when James, the older fellow, looks in the back of the creek, thinks he sees gold, realizes as he gets closer that it's not. When he retrieves the artifact, it turns out to be this bayonet that had been laid there by a Hessian soldier at the time of the Revolutionary War. That year 2014 was a development year for me as an author, but also as a person. I had gone through a second surgery, total hip replacement, and it worked out fine, but there was a pretty good period of rehabilitation that was required. And quite honestly, some of that rehabilitation took place right here at the Sports Center. And so I thank Bruce and all the great folks that work here for having the equipment and having the time and the patience and the place where I could go and actually continue the rehab, so that today I can walk, not as well as I did a few years ago, but at least I don't need a cane, I don't need a walker, and I certainly don't need a wheelchair anymore. But that rehab time gave me the time to write the book. That it will be available in places like Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. right after the Thanksgiving holiday. So if somebody's thinking of buying a book like this as a Christmas present, as a spiritual gift to a loved one, to a member of the family or friend, they'll be able to find it in the traditional channels. And also for those people who are local, there'll be a copy or two available in the local stores, and actually even in a restaurant. At the Wayside Restaurant down here on Branchview, they'll have copies of it. Over in Mount Pleasant, which is where the story takes place, it'll be available at Marvin's Fresh Farmhouse Restaurant. Also